Ok, ahora sí ya está. Ya. Okay, so good evening, everyone. How are you? I hope you're having a nice Wednesday, a nice week up until now. Today, we're going to see the final type of task in the speaking part of the exam, the fourth type, which is also an integrated speaking task. Can anyone tell me what they already told you about this? Did they explain? Sí, alguien dígame más o menos qué les han dicho de esta parte, de este tipo de preguntas del examen.
Okay, is the task for? In the task, there will only a lecture, and it's an academic lecture. Like in this lecture, we have to respond to a main topic and two subtopics, like with examples.
Yeah, more or less. Yes, it's going to be a just one lecture, so we only have to listen. Now we don't have to read and listen. It's just one, but it is a little bit heavier because it's an academic topic. And unlike the others, no es como las anteriores que tal vez te piden que interpretes algo o que repitas la opinión de una de las personas que está hablando. Es básicamente dar un resumen breve de lo que se habla en el lecture, ¿no? Con la estructura que les dieron en su clase. So we're going to see those. Como siempre, have a notebook ready o algún papelito en el que puedan escribir. Y ahorita les comparto. ¿Me confirman todos que pueden ver que les estoy compartiendo pantalla? Yes? Okay.
It's charging.
Yeah, so here. I know this is okay. That's the amount of time you have to prepare and to give your answer is the same as the last one. 30, sometimes 20 seconds, sometimes it's a little less, and 1 minute to give your answer. So es muy similar a los que ya hemos visto en cuanto a tiempo al menos, así que eso ya estamos un poco acostumbrados, creo. Y bueno, the order they're going to give you is you will now listen to part of a lecture. You will then be asked a question about it. After you hear the question, you will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Entonces solo tenemos 20 segundos para preparar la respuesta. So taking notes is very, very, very important. How you take your notes can really help you at the moment of organizing your ideas. So ahorita les voy a decir un poco qué cosas hay que prestar atención. First of all, you're gonna hear it once. Like no van a poder volver a escuchar el lecture. So, igual importante tomar apuntes. Como siempre, escuchar la entonación, los conectores, en qué momento you feel that they're like introducing a new idea. Y de hecho, ¿no? Los audios, los lectures van a tener esa misma estructura. Van a mencionar un tema principal y luego van a dar dos ejemplos de esto, dos muestras de esto, dos ideas que fortalezcan esta idea principal. So, igual atentos a eso en el mismo listening para que puedan dar el resumen después. La pregunta usualmente es eso, ¿no? Realmente no pide interpretación, no pide aporte propio. It's really just a matter of summarizing the lecture in the best way you can. So the important thing here is to anotar el contenido, most of all. Okay, so vamos a escuchar. Son relativamente cortos igual, pero sí son pesaditos, así que. Espera, everyone ready con su papelito o algo para anotar? Sí. Okay. Ready and here we go. Sorry guys, my internet.
Now listen to part of a lecture in a physics class.
Have any of you wondered how exactly planes are able to fly even though they're so much heavier than air? There are actually a couple of ways we can answer that. The first way, the easier way I think, is based on Newton's third law. That law says that when you push something, there is push back. So think about a wing. It's slanted up, right? The front of the wing is higher than the back. And as the plane moves through the air, that air goes under the wing. It gets pushed down by the slant. And when that air is pushed down, as we said, it has to push back. It pushes up. So there's a lot of air getting pushed down by that angle of the wing. And it's all pushing back up, pushing the plane into the air. The second answer has to do with something called Bernoulli's principle, which is about how fluids work. And when I say fluids, that includes gases too, not just liquids. This principle, it says that as the speed of a fluid, in this case air, as the speed of the air decreases, pressure increases. And also, as speed goes up, pressure goes down. So in other words, the faster the air is moving, the less the pressure. The slower it is moving, the more the pressure. Get it? Speed and pressure are opposite. They're inversely correlated. We won't worry too much about how this works, but just know that because the way a wing is designed, air moves faster on the top of the wing than on the bottom of the wing. So that means the air on top, where the air is moving fast, has low pressure, and the air on the bottom of the wing, where the air is moving slowly, has high pressure. The difference in pressure pushes the wing upward into the sky.
Using points and examples.
Okay, so that was the lecture. Before we listen to the question, do you guys have any questions? ¿Les quedó todo claro del lecture? Yep. Okay, wait, I can't see all of you. A ver. Okay. So, ahora sí, we're going to listen to the question y igual les pongo el cronómetro here on my phone. Okay. Bueno, todos mirando sus apuntes, todos listos. Van a escuchar la pregunta y les daré 20 segundos para prepararla. And I'm going to call on anybody randomly. So everyone has to have an answer prepared. Ready? The question is.
The sky.
Wait.
Using points and examples from the lecture, summarize the two explanations of how planes are able to fly.
Okay, so using points and examples, summarize how planes are able to fly. Starting now. Okay. Let's see. Rosa. Ready?
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
How do
Okay.
you feel? You sound a little nervous.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Lista, your 60 seconds start now.
Okay. According to the lecture, the professor explains how the plane can fly, giving two examples. As a matter of fact, the first example is about the when you push something, you can push back, and pushing the plane to the earth, they can push to the air. Indeed, they explain a second theory about the fluid. He explained that when the speed air decreases the pressure, so the highest pressure slow is the speed. So this explains how the plane can fly with with these two examples. I don't know.
Solo te faltó un segundo. Ya está. Okay. So how do you feel?
A little nervous because it's too academic information.
Yeah, it is. Is your work area like physics related by any chance, mechanics or ciencias exactas?
What?
¿O estás, tu área de trabajo, tu área de estudio es mecánica, física, números, o you're kind of like,
Algo en la universidad vi, pero no es como que mi especialidad, ¿no?
yeah, it always helps when it's something that is in your area. So maybe if some of you guys are like studying physics or engineering, or you actually understand this better, si tienen acceso a información así en su día a día, es mucho más fácil. Pero de todos modos, si es algo que no está en tu área y es un poco chino para ti, there's still ways to get around it. No, like I always say, si me dan un texto de biología, no sé qué rayos voy a decir because I really suck at biology. Pero overall, the introduction, really good, ¿no? Plantear lo mismo, la idea general que explica y luego mencionar los dos motivos. I feel in the first one, while mentioning the first one, you kind of missed a little bit of information, or the example wasn't really clear. And the second one sí estaba bastante claro, ¿no? Esto de la presión y demás. In both cases, though, you didn't mention the name of the physical law, more or less, de por qué vuelan los aviones. And in these cases, when it's like a lecture, an academic lecture, tal como si estuvieras en clase, ¿no? Es importante saber el nombre del autor o el nombre, el año en que... in this case, the two laws that they mention were Newton's third law and Bernoulli's principle of fluids. If you don't remember the names exactly, cuando les dan datos así en estos que son más tipo lecture académicos, siempre es importante notar esas cositas. Como si estuvieras en una clase de la U. Pero si no te acuerdas, it's better to say, like you said, no, this principle about fluids, which affects the pressure and the speed of air and da, da, da. Eso. And the closing idea, igual, bien. Other than that, no sé, no, there's nothing else really que criticar. Todo lo demás está genial. Solo eso de los nombrecitos de las leyes. Okay, and let's see the next one. ¿Alguien más quiere probar de esta misma? De este mismo audio. Camila. A ver.
Okay, I will try.
Vamos a ponerle tus 60 segundos.
I'm gonna sit till here.
Okay. Your 60 seconds start now.
Okay, according to the lecture, it explains how planes are able to fly, and as a matter of fact, there's basic explanation to that. Firstly, referring to the Newton's third law about action and reaction, it's explained that the pressure when an object is going so fast is it push a lot of air, so it allows the plane to fly because there's a lot of amount of air pushing back the plane with this principle. And secondly, about how fluid works, there's a inverse correlation with speed and pressure. So as faster as the plane is or its design,
Okay. ¿Qué necesitaba? Finish your idea.
and the pressure decreases. So yo voy a pasar timer, sorry. So that's why the plane's allowed to fly.
Okay.
Yeah, that, and also, yeah, I want to conclude with the design of the wing, the plane wings, in the
Mhm.
top and the bottom.
Yeah, that was a good general way of like summing it up.
Yeah.
Si lo resumías todo en una oración, era the shape of the wings is what helps the plane to fly.
Okay.
But overall, really, the igual clave del éxito, remembering little words like, inverse correlation or, important keywords mentioned in the lecture and mentioning them as well in your speaking es igual, sirve mucho. Really good answer. Yeah, really, there's nothing to critique. The connectors, I feel, en general, ¿no? Siempre poner mucho, los connectors les salvan la vida. Getting familiar with what connectors fit best in which situation es igual una clave del éxito para poder make your ideas flow better together. Another thing that really helps in these ones, especially in these types of questions, is being familiar with reporting verbs. So verbos que serían como the professor said, claims that, mentions that, describes, todas las cosas que sean como alguien reportando. So it's good to have a list of those as well. ¿No? Y siempre citar a lecture. Now the lecture mentions that, or the professor, the professor states that, todos esos verbos les ayudan bastante. One more, let's do one more with this one. ¿Alguien más que tenga su respuesta preparada? Roger. Okay, let's go with you. No, vamos a esperar, voy a poner tu timer. Okay, ready?
Yeah, ready.
Yeah, your 60 seconds start now.
According to the lecture, planes are able to fly because of two reasons. Firstly, the Newton's third law, or better known as the action-reaction law. And secondly, the noisy principle, or well known as the fluids law. This second reason says that speed and air, the speed, air, and the pressure of air are correlated inversible. And this happens due to the way the wing is designed. So to wrap it up, it's a little exchange between high and low pressures.
Okay, and you have 17 seconds left. So, es una conclusión rápida.
Sí, es que me puse nervioso y
Okay.
me olvidé unos conectores.
A ver que acabe. Ahí está. Okay. What did you leave out? ¿O qué no dijiste por nervios? ¿Qué sientes que you left out?
Creo que me he saltado los detalles. Tenía detalles anotados sobre la segunda razón por la que los aviones vuelan y me puse nervioso y no pude ordenar bien mis ideas y bueno, no pude explicarlo bien.
Actually, I think your intro was perfect, mentioning the topic, mentioning both reasons, just naming them. And the second reason was very, very well developed. The first one, I feel you just mentioned it. and you didn't really give much detail about the first one. So ahí es creo donde se te ha perdido un poco el tiempo y te has quedado un poco con tiempo de sobra. If you had developed the first reason a little bit more, ahí se hubiera llenado el tiempo y perfecto. Other than that, it was a perfect answer. So good. Ahora sí, vamos con el siguiente. Mm. Okay, and again, lo mismo. Vamos a escuchar el lecture, 20 seconds to prepare, and 1 minute to speak. Okay, yes.
Now listen to part of a lecture in a sociology class. Let's consider the way sociologists use the terms culture and society. A society is a distinct group of people. A sociologist would say that society are defined by their social interactions and the culture they share. Meanwhile, culture itself can be defined as that society's shared knowledge, beliefs, and expectations. Often people think of a society as something really, well, big. And sure, that's true. An entire nation, for example, will generally have some common thread of culture that defines it. The most obvious example is that citizens of one region generally speak a common language. Think about behavioral standards too, like what's considered polite or impolite. Whereas in one country, you might be expected.
Oh, guys, you already did this example. Me dicen que ya han hecho este ejemplo.
Yes,
Yeah.
we heard it yesterday, but we didn't do the speaking practice.
You wanna, bueno, ya lo han escuchado, pero you wanna do it with this one o quieren hacer otro audio? What do you say, guys?
For me, it's okay because we've done practice. So I don't know.
Let's listen to it una vez más. Este vamos a tener mucha ayudita, porque ya lo han escuchado. Lo vamos a escuchar una vez más. Y creo que el tema es un poco menos pesado que los otros. Bueno, también es mi área, so maybe that's why. Pero, okay, so we're going to do this one. Otra vez más, vamos a escuchar.
Now listen to part of a lecture in a sociology class. Let's consider the way sociologists use the terms culture and society. A society is a distinct group of people. A sociologist would say that people in a society are defined by their social interactions and the culture they share. Meanwhile, culture itself can be defined as that society's shared knowledge, beliefs, and expectations. Often people think of a society as something really, well, big. And sure, that's true. An entire nation, for example, will generally have some common thread of culture that defines it. The most obvious example is that citizens of one region generally speak a common language. But think about behavioral standards too, like what's considered polite or impolite. Whereas in one country, you might be expected to take off your shoes as the guest in another's home. In other countries, that might be considered strange. Cultural traits like that can extend over enormous populations. But a society can also be much smaller, much simpler. Take this class. Aren't we a society? We have social interactions with each other every week. And I think it's fair to say we have a culture of a sort too. Think back to what happened on the second day of class. Do you all remember? I'd missed my train and didn't have any way to let you all know that I'd be late. But in contrast to other classes, where students might have just headed home 15 minutes after the planned start time, each and every one of you waited the full 30 minutes it took me to arrive. That kind of set expectations, right? It laid the foundation for a culture of patience, something I think is still true of this particular group, this little society.
Using points and examples from the lecture, explain how a society can be a large group of people or a very small group.
Okay, so that's the question. Explain how a society can be both a large group or a small group. Everyone has 20 seconds to prepare, and your 20 seconds start now. Okay, who wants to give their answer? Valentina.
Okay. Well, I have already write this before, so it's a little bit easier. So I have this advantage.
Yeah, it's kind of like ir en bici with your training wheels. The cara es la practiquita for the real thing. Okay,
Yeah.
your 60 seconds start now.
Okay, so sociology can be explained by two concepts, society and culture. Inside society, we have large and smaller groups. For instance, a nation is a large one. In a nation, there is social interaction, key beliefs, and expectations. Those forms the culture concept. Indeed, this is the main characteristic of a society. By the other hand, a smaller society could be this class. By our acts in the class, we could form a society because we're coexisting in the same space. And by the time we're going to have expectations and common beliefs. All in all, sociology studies small and large groups in terms of beliefs and expectations.
Okay, perfect. Te faltan 3 segundos. 3, 2, 1. So good, really good answer. Can you tell us a little bit about how you structured it? Como ya has tenido más tiempo para pensarla y estructurarla. How did you structure it?
Yes, normally I do a conceptual map. I don't know if it's correct.
Yeah, te salva la
So
vida.
I structure it with lines and big titles, and then the titles have like subtitles, and yeah, something like this. It's a disaster, but I can read it. I don't know if it's
Kind of. Yeah, that's an important thing. Realmente, mapas conceptuales, I promise you guys, it is the best thing, tanto for this or for any area in your life where you have to study or, gain knowledge, mapas conceptuales. And it doesn't matter if no one else can understand them, con tal de que tú los entiendas, funcionan. But yeah, I like that you summarize the idea also in kind of your own words. So it summarizes it very well, but it also feels like you're very clearly understanding the topic. So genial eso. un poco más para rellenar esos maybe 5 o 4 segundos que te sobraron. It also helps to always, like I said, always reference the lecture. Now, in the lecture, they mention the professor says, the professor states, da, 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 da. Esas cositas igual les ayudan a veces a ganar tiempo si sienten que les va a sobrar tiempo. And it also, shows un mayor vínculo al lecture. Y con este mismo, ¿alguien más wanna try? Fabiola?
Okay, I will try.
60 segundos. And your 60 seconds start now.
Accordingly to the lecture, the professor explains about what the society think the culture is in the society. As a matter of fact, the society is a group of persons that can be big or small. Indeed, a group of society is a big, can be the country where the people share the same beliefs, expectations, the same language, and same culture. And in some places, for example, in some places, some culture can will be polite but in the other in other places that can be maybe stranger. On the other hand, a group of people that in this more small can be other type of society. In this case, the professor gives us an example that in the class, each person is in the class is conform this society, and they have the same expectations. It's that actually.
Okay, so te pasaste por unos maybe 5 seconds que faltó en completar tu idea. But other than that, toda la información estaba súper completa, very clear, the examples, very clear structure. What do you think you could have left out? ¿Qué cosas podías haber dejado fuera para que no se te acabe el tiempo?
Maybe the first example that I spend a lot of time explaining what is in a big group of society. I think I put more time there.
Yeah, you got a little caught up in the first example and you lost your time there. A good way to do that would be, como lo hizo Valentina, just mentioning the key words. In this case, that a culture, a society shares a culture, they share expectations, they share key beliefs and practices. Y con esas tres cosas ya está entendido que compone una sociedad. So really just main keywords. And other than that, perfect structure. How do you feel with your answer? Did you feel nervous? Did you feel confident?
Actually nervous because I think I don't have the time to, 20 seconds is very fast. So I don't know to finish the answer.
Yeah, the time thing is kind of the really hardest part because it makes you nervous. For these though, como ya saben que les van a pedir un resumen más o menos, you can already kind of ir armando la respuesta while you listen. And the other ones, you kind of have to make an interpretation, so tienes que esperar hasta escuchar toda la cosa para saber cuál va a ser el punto que tal vez tengo que argumentar o no. But in these cases, it's just a summary. So even while you're writing, while you're taking notes, you can think, yeah, I can say this, this is important, voy a decir esto, y mientras escuchas igual. In a way, these are easier. En ese sentido, estos son más fáciles.
Okay. Just because I have I write the answer like only the first example, and the second it's like I have to I don't know, say what I write that moment, the key words. I don't know. I don't have the expression.
Yeah, it's a little bit of practice, guys. Es cosa de práctica. Hagan más mapitas mentales. You know what could help? Like I always say, immerse yourselves in the language. So listen to podcasts, watch videos. If you listen to podcasts, estaría bien igual si es algún podcast de, no sé, cualquier tema en realidad. You can also take notes while you're listening, a modo de aprender a cachar cómo cachar ideas generales, ideas clave. And with literally anything, there are a lot of really cool YouTube channels about literally anything. Mm. Okay, one more. I think it's going to be the last one. ¿Qué hora es? Sí, creo que este va a ser el último de día. Okay, so everyone ready? Sí. Okay, now we're going to listen to this lecture y misma cosa, 20 segundos para preparar cuando escuchemos la pregunta.
Now, listen to part of a lecture in a biology class. Let's talk about two kinds of biological selection. Two different ways that traits are selected in a species of animal as it breeds and reproduces. First, there's natural selection. Here, living things develop features that help them survive in a certain kind of climate, escape from a certain kind of predator, that sort of thing. In contrast, we have artificial selection. Artificial selection happens outside of what we'd call nature. It happens when people deliberately breed living things for their own use. Now, it's true that natural selection and artificial selection both give a living thing the traits it needs to reproduce and survive. But these two types of biological selection also have very different effects, obviously. Maybe one of the easiest places to see this difference is with wolves and dogs. Let's start with wolves. So, what's a wolf's job? It's to survive in the wild and get enough to eat, right? So certain qualities are naturally selected. Wolves need keen senses so they can detect prey.
Sorry, guys.
They need to be fast, strong, and aggressive to catch their prey and to survive even in the harshest weather. Wolves that are born with these qualities live longer and pass the qualities on to their pups. That's natural selection. But a dog's job, its role in its environment, is a little different. Dogs don't need to survive in the wild. They need human protection. So to survive, a breed of dog needs to have traits that humans want. Take the golden retriever. People bred a dog big enough to be a good hunter, but not so big that it was hard to control. And it had to be obedient, unlike a wolf, right? A golden retriever has to be, well, friendly in order to be well-liked enough that we humans decide to breed it, so we can get similarly friendly puppies or pets. Using points and examples from the talk, explain the two types of biological selection.
Okay, so there we have.
Now, listen
sorry.
to part of a lecture.
Now we have the question, explain the two types of biological selection. Your 20 seconds to prepare, start now. Okay, who wants to give their answer? Carolina. Okay, wait, ¿dónde estás?
Okay.
Okay, your 60 seconds start now.
Okay. According to the lecture, the main topic is biologic selection. Inside biologic selection, we have natural selection and artificial selection. Natural selection first talks about the predator. Artificial selection has outside nature. Both of them have different effects. For example, wolves, which are between natural selection, that they have to survive in the wild. But in the other hand, we have dogs that they need human protection, so they don't have to survive in the wild. I think that's it.
Okay. You have 4 seconds left, así que no te faltó mucho tiempo tampoco. Ahí está. How do you feel with your answer? Or how do you feel in general? Nervous? Más?
I think in my head it was easier, but when I tried to organize my ideas, it was confused. So I mixed everything and it was difficult to talk, but I thought it was easier in my head.
Yeah, sometimes it's the pressure as well. And imagino que igual has debido tener todos tus apuntes, pero al momento de leerlos, it's kind of like, ¿cuál idea iba después de cuál y dónde iba qué? That also happens. It's very common. So a good way to do that is, it's really no hay otra que práctica y hacerte como que get comfortable with how you take notes. So yeah, you can read them. Like my notes, así de verdad son cualquier cosa, todos mis apuntes de la vida, pero ya entiendo yo cómo funcionan, así que it works. Other than that, the structure was, you mentioned both examples, though I feel there was some information missing. Siento que faltaba más información que realmente ejemplificaba. You could have mentioned perhaps what traits are selected when we breed dogs, no, because it's humans, it's artificial, que nosotros elegimos estas características. So they mention friendliness in dogs and golden retrievers. They mention size, you know, how humans want a dog that's not too big. Y todas esas cosas. And in the natural selection, they mention, you know, how wolves need to be big to fight or to survive and sure to hunt. So ejemplos un poco más puntuales de cada cosa. Or the little examples they mentioned. But the overall idea, la idea general de cada cosa was good. Yes, so nothing else to criticize, I think. One little
Okay,
thing,
thank you, Miss.
okay. One thing for everyone that I've noticed, un poco que repiten todos, it is important to know your connectors, ¿no? Y tener como que tu arsenal, como si fueran tus armas, ¿no? ¿Qué connectors voy a usar? But also es súper importante naturalizarlos, porque algunas veces, ¿no? Un conector va a sonar fuera de lugar en una parte de la oración. For example, you all start with, according to the lecture, y como si estuviera independiente, ¿no? Ese conector, y siguen con otra idea. The main idea of the lecture, cuando es un poco redundante eso, ¿no? According to the lecture, the main idea of the lecture is da, 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 da. When you can just say, according to the lecture, y directamente la idea que propone el lecture. So un poco eso es naturalizar un poco más los conectores. Tenerlos en tu arsenal, but also know how to use them. Una más para esta respuesta. ¿Alguien quiere responder esta?
Me?
Wait, no te veo. ¿Quién es? Camila. Okay. Ready?
I'm going to give a timer.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready? Your 60 seconds start now.
Okay. In the lecture, the professor explains that there exist two types of biological selection. As a matter of fact, it exists natural and artificial selection. And he gives good examples explaining that. Firstly, the natural selection is related to surviving climate or predators situations. And the example he provides is with wolves. They need to survive in the wild. So their biological type or lifestyle is they have to be rush and force and be faster for catching up prey. On the other hand, we have artificial selection, that is where people bring living beings outside their habitats. And the very example for this is dogs. They have, sorry.
Okay, continue with your idea. ¿Qué querías?
Okay. They are characterized by being friendly and having the characteristics that human wants. In that way, they survive in their habitat, which is within humans. So in that way, even though reproduction and breeding are ensured by this kind of selection, they have different effects on living beings.
Okay. Yeah, it was a very complex idea. Both ideas, siento que era bastante información. You didn't leave any information out, which is good. Pero both ideas were
Summarize it.
Estaban las dos. ¿Qué keywords sacas de ambas cosas? Del primer ejemplo y del segundo ejemplo. That could have just summarized it super quick.
Okay, natural. The first type of biological selection were natural. So I choose the survive. It's because you need to survive. With climate issues or predators. But and the second one was an artificial selection that is owing to human beings and living beings.
Yeah, I think the part where you te extendiste un poco explicando qué era exactamente natural selection and artificial selection.
Okay.
And rather than that, it would have been better to just give the example. For example, wolves need to survive. Therefore, they choose certain biological traits to reproduce in their children and their puppies or whatever. In the case of dogs, no mencionas qué es artificial selection. You just say dogs, we choose these characteristics, no, lo que sea amistoso, el perro, que sea no tan grande, que sea y todo lo que menciona. Más eso.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, good response. Yeah, so I think we're gonna leave it there for today, guys. So vamos a do you guys have any questions about these types of questions?
Oh, yes. I would like to ask if the following questions would be like this, a type of this question tags. I think there are 6 speaking questions in the exam. So
they're mixed. Some of them are independent, que son esas the short prompts. Some of them are integrated. The ones that are integrated can be any one of these. They can be the conversation, they can be the lecture, or they can be these summary things. You're gonna get a mix of all of them probably. Pero a veces es un poco más variado. I'm not sure really if si hay un porcentaje así como que suelen preguntar más esta, que suelen preguntar más esta, but you usually see a mix of like uno de cada uno y unos dos de yapita, kind of.
Ok, entonces nos pueden tocar 2 preguntas de la primera, de nuestra opinión o de una conversación. No,
They're
no
gonna
sabemos.
be more of the integrated ones than the independent ones.
Okay. The independent one is just one.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions? No?
Yes, I have one. How we can improve that? Like in the first case, it was more difficult for this kind of words that it's no the no, it was very difficult to understand because of the words, and so how we can improve that to, I don't know.
I guess the thing is they're gonna give you things that are a little bit more académicamente densos, pero también they're common knowledge, ¿no? Son un poco cultura general esto de la tercera ley de Newton. Si bien no sabemos todo el mundo cómo funciona la tercera ley de Newton, sabemos que existe al menos una tercera ley de Newton. So, cuando te enfrentas así textos que parecen, o lectures que parecen demasiado complejos, latch on to the things that you do know, ¿no? Las palabras que sí conoces, los conceptos que sí conoces. Si bien te va, o sea, si no puedes precisar de esta palabrita que la composición química, que la física, que no sé qué, ya tienes una idea más o menos de qué es el Newton's third law, so you can agarrarte de eso y usar eso para hablarlo mejor en los puntos que sientas que no tienes tanta fuerza. Igual,
Okay, thank you.
y los de psicología igual son como que cosas que al menos de pasado hemos escuchado alguna vez. So it's better to really latch onto those things. Anyone else? No? Okay, so we're gonna leave it there, guys. Esperar, les mando una encuestita y la van respondiendo, please. Wait a second, guys. Ahí está. Bueno, ya saben, pueden responder la encuestita y, bueno, responden la encuestita y ya pueden salirse de la clase. So, bye guys. I hope you have a nice rest of the evening. And it was nice seeing you.
Goodbye.
For you, first thing.
Goodbye, miss.
Bye, bye.
Bye.
Bye guys, see you.